85 floors climbing toward the heavens. 7 years of absolute silence. $20 billion riding on a dream that the world thought was dead. This is the Jeddah Tower, Saudi Arabia's audacious bet to build the first skyscraper that reaches a full kilometer into the sky. For nearly a decade, this half-finished giant stood frozen in the desert, its concrete core rising like a monument to broken ambition. Cranes rusted in place, sandstorms buried the construction equipment, and the world asked one question: was this the tallest failure in history? But something changed. On January 21, 2025, concrete poured again, crews returned, and floor by floor a sleeping giant began to wake. As of January 10, 2026, the tower stands at 85 complete floors, already taller than the Eiffel Tower, with 83 more floors to go. They're building at a pace never seen before in mega construction, one floor every 3 to 4 days. So the question isn't just can they finish it, the question is what does it take to resurrect the impossible? But here's what most people don't realize. The engineering secrets behind this structure are so radical, they've never been attempted at this scale. And what happens at floor 130 could determine whether this tower stands or falls. Let's find out. When Crown Prince Al Walid bin Talal announced Jeddah Tower in 2011, it wasn't just a building, it was a declaration. At exactly 1,008.2 meters, 3,308 feet, this tower would rise 180 meters taller than the Burj Khalifa. It would house 168 floors of luxury apartments, a Four Seasons hotel, world-class offices, and an observation deck higher than any human structure on Earth. The architect, Adrian Smith, the same visionary who designed the Burj Khalifa. The investment? $1.23 billion just for the tower itself, with $20 billion for the surrounding Jeddah economic city, for a kingdom trying to transform its entire economy through Vision 2030. This wasn't just architecture, it was a message to the world. Construction began on April 1, 2013 with confidence and speed. The foundation alone was a monster, 270 board piles drilled up to 110 meters deep. You could drive a car through the largest ones. They poured a concrete raft 5 meters thick, spanning 7,500 square meters. The foundation alone weighs more than some entire skyscrapers. By October 2017, crews topped out the 60th floor. The momentum seemed unstoppable. And then, overnight, everything stopped. Not because of engineering problems, not because of money running out, but because of something far more dramatic. On November 4, 2017, Prince Al Walid bin Talal was arrested as part of Saudi Arabia's massive anti-corruption purge. The billionaire who had poured his fortune into this tower was detained at the Ritz-Carlton in Riyadh. The main contractor was removed, payments froze, workers packed up their tools and went home. For 7 years, 2,555 days, the Jeddah Tower stood silent. 63 floors of pure ambition waiting. The desert winds whipped around the exposed concrete core. Construction equipment sat buried under layers of sand. Real estate analysts called it a cautionary tale. Some calculated that the exposed concrete might be too damaged to continue. But here's what nobody expected, and it changes everything about what happens next. September 2023. A quiet announcement. 14 construction contractors from Saudi Arabia, Europe, and China were invited to bid. The tower wasn't dead after all. And then, on January 21, 2025, something extraordinary happened. Prince Al Walid bin Talal, now released, stood on site as concrete was poured for the 64th floor, the first new floor in 7 years. After 2,555 days of silence, the Jeddah Tower had a heartbeat again. The pace was slow at first, but then something shifted. By September 2025, floor 70. By November 2025, floor 78. By December 14, 2025, floor 81. January 10, 2026, floor 85. Do you see what's happening? They're now completing a floor every 3 to 4 days. In the last 11 months, they've added 22 floors more than they built in some entire years before the halt. At 85 floors, the Jeddah Tower already stands at approximately 360 meters tall, taller than the Eiffel Tower, taller than almost every structure in Europe. The projections are aggressive. If this pace holds, they'll reach floor 168 by late 2026 or early 2027. But here's the question that keeps engineers awake at night. How do you build the world's tallest structure this fast without it collapsing under its own weight? The answer involves something you'd never expect. At 1,008 meters, you're not just building a tall structure, You're building something that exists in a completely different atmospheric realm, floating above the clouds, battling forces most buildings never face. Wind at ground level might gust at 30 kilometers per hour. At 600 meters, those same winds can hit 200 kilometers per hour. The Tacoma Narrows Bridge collapsed in 1940 because of this exact problem. Winds created oscillating vortices that matched the bridge's frequency, and it literally tore itself apart. Now imagine that force hitting something 3 times taller than the Empire State Building. The answer came from nature itself. Adrian Smith and his team studied how plants survive in the brutal Saudi desert. How do desert flowers angle their petals to deflect wind rather than resist it? The solution: make the building itself into a wind-deflecting organism. Jeddah Tower's footprint is shaped like 3 petals sprouting from a central core, a Y-shaped design with 3 asymmetrical wings that taper and twist as they climb toward the sky. It's not fighting the wind, it's dancing with it. They tested this design in wind tunnels using models that vibrate exactly like the real tower would. The result? The 3-petal design doesn't just survive extreme wind, it makes wind almost irrelevant. Here's where it gets counterintuitive. Every other super tall building, Burj Khalifa, Shanghai Tower, One World Trade Center, uses steel frameworks. So why is Jeddah Tower using concrete for the first 600 meters? The answer is simple physics. Steel is heavy, really heavy. At 1,000 meters, a steel framework would crush the lower floors under its own mass. Plus, in the Saudi desert, where temperatures swing from 50 degrees Celsius during the day to 15 degrees Celsius at night, steel would constantly expand and contract, like breathing, creating microfractures over decades. Concrete solves all these problems. It's lighter when designed efficiently. It doesn't expand dramatically with temperature. The entire structure is essentially one giant interconnected sculpture that channels every force, gravity, wind, seismic, directly down into the earth. And what's holding all of this up? That's where things get really interesting. Most people think of Jeddah Tower as just a tall building, but what's being constructed here isn't a building, it's a vertical civilization. Let me take you on a journey from the ground to the clouds. At the base, underground parking, a luxury shopping mall, and lobbies with imported marble that make you understand this isn't just any tower. Rising upward, 88 floors of Class A office space with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Red Sea. Then the residential sky begins. Over 500 luxury condominiums, where families will raise children in apartments higher than most clouds. Imagine waking up every morning at 500 meters above sea level. And at the crown, floor 157, at 637 meters high, the observation deck. This floor features a circular outdoor balcony 30 meters across, completely open to the sky. You'll be standing higher than the Burj Khalifa's observation deck, with nothing but air between you and the ground. But here's a problem most people never consider. How do you get people to the top of a kilometer-high building when traditional elevator cables would snap under their own weight? The tower will have 59 elevators, including 5 double-deck units. The express elevators to the observation deck move at 10 meters per second. That's 36 kilometers per hour, straight up. But here's the problem nobody talks about. Traditional steel cables can only handle about 500 meters before they become too heavy to lift themselves. At this height, they would literally snap under their own weight. The solution? Carbon fiber cables. Carbon fiber is stronger than steel but weighs a fraction as much. These cables can handle the extreme length without breaking, and they don't stretch like steel would. Combined with those 3 sky lobbies acting as transfer stations, no single elevator travels the full height. The elevator system alone is a $100 million engineering marvel. So here we are, January 2026. The tower stands at 85 floors, approximately 360 meters tall, roughly 45% complete. Let's do the math. In the last 2 months alone, November and December 2025, they completed 10 floors. That's 1 floor every 6 days. In the first 10 days of January, they've completed 2 more floors. At this accelerating rate, Floor 100, February 2026. Floor 130, May 2026. Floor 168, late 2026 or early 2027. Hopeful. Of course, structural completion isn't the same as project completion. After the structure tops out, there's still 59 elevators to install, thousands of glass panels, interior fit-out for 168 floors. and safety certifications. Realistically, 2028 remains the target for the tower to open to the public. But here's what makes this remarkable. They're building faster than any megatall tower in history. The Burj Khalifa took over 6 years. Shanghai Tower took 8 years. If Jeddah Tower completes by 2028, the actual construction time will be closer to 8 years, with a 7-year gap in the middle where nothing happened. If Jeddah Tower succeeds, it won't just be the tallest building on Earth. It will be proof that human ambition can overcome the harshest environments, that we can literally build cities in the clouds, that what seems impossible today can become reality tomorrow. It will house thousands of people in luxury apartments where children grow up above the clouds. It will employ thousands more in offices at altitudes where jets fly. It will welcome millions of tourists to an observation deck higher than any human has stood in a stationary structure. But if it falters, if construction stalls again, if costs spiral out of control, it may be remembered as the tallest unfinished dream in human history. Right now, in January 2026, we're watching that story unfold in real time. Every floor completed brings it closer to the sky. Every floor completed proves the skeptics wrong. So here's the question I want you to answer. Can Saudi Arabia deliver the world's first kilometer-high skyscraper? Or will Jeddah Tower remain forever reaching for the clouds it cannot touch? The answer lies somewhere in the 83 floors yet to be built. We're witnessing history being written one floor at a time, and unlike most stories, we don't know the ending yet. Drop your prediction in the comments. And if you want to follow this story as it unfolds as each new floor climbs toward the sky, subscribe and turn on notifications, because in 12 to 18 months we'll know the answer. The Jeddah Tower will either touch the clouds or remain forever reaching for them.